Hey there, Stuart Levitt, Realty Experts out of Calabasas, California. Received a question via email the other day that I wanted to share. Dear Stuart, there's a chance we do a 30% down payment instead of 20% as we discussed. But does it really matter to the seller of a home? Mike. Hey, thanks a bunch, Mike. That's actually a pretty good question, and yes, it does matter. For you and other viewers, I've prepared 3 levels of answers so you don't have to stay on for an entire video, unless you want to. Answer number 1, short and simple. As a buyer who wants that house, we very much care about how the seller perceives us. So many of my buyer-oriented videos are about the psyche and the motivation of the seller, and this one really is no different. We care because we want the seller to say yes to our offer and no to everybody else. Sellers want to select a buyer that will be able to close on the transaction and not be at the mercy of a lender. That is the reason why we keep hearing about the power of the great cash buyers, as they do not have to wait to go through any approval of a third party. How might a 20% down versus 30% down make the difference in getting our seller to yes? And why is 10% such a big deal? Well, in a word, cushion. Which brings us to our second answer, a little bit deeper, into the reads and the appraisal. Again, this is all about getting your seller to say yes to you. Standard loans require a 20% down payment. Let's assume your lender requires at least 20% and you do qualify for such a loan. And you have found your perfect home. Think things are great, and to take from a Helen Reddy song, I am buyer and hear me roar. Who would not want a piece of this? Who would not want you as a buyer? Well, guess what? You just agreed to pay top dollar for your dream home, and the bank's appraiser believes the house is worth less than your agreed upon purchase price, perhaps even slightly less. Now, your loan is in jeopardy, and your ability to close on the home is entirely threatened. That makes for a very sad buyer and a very bad outcome for your seller. You might have the extra money, but you didn't communicate that to your seller at the time of the offer, right? How does the seller know if you can make up the difference or not? Well, guess what? Your seller just wants to avoid this risk and stress from the very beginning. So here it is. If you had more funds to use as down payment, and just as important, had you demonstrated such at the beginning of the transaction, the so-called cushion of the deal, you could mitigate the seller's concerns from the beginning and turn their, gee, I'm not so sure if I want to work with this buyer, to, heck yes, I want to work with them. They can close. They're going to be strong. Third answer, just by example. You find a house for $500,000 and you've got $100,000 down payment. So you've got 20%, which means you need to borrow the other $400,000. Then the appraiser comes in 5% lower on the house. They figure it's worth $475,000. Well, you still need that $400,000 to close, but the bank's not going to give you that kind of money any longer. They're going to give you a little bit less. Again, your seller wants to avoid these risks and the potential dramas. So all things being equal, they don't select you as their buyer. They go back in their time machine. They've got an agent who explains to them the risks of 20% versus 30%, and they select the other buyer who had the 30% with the same lender. Because when the house does appraise lower, the buyer has that cushion to close the transaction. Anyway, hey, I love answering your questions, making videos, showing you guys around the neighborhood. If you have a quick question or not so quick question, give me a call. At Realty Experts, we're all about perspectives and not absolutes. Have a great week.